Well, good evening. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And tonight's show is sponsored by New Leaf, Hyperbaric, and Massage and Wellness, because they do massage too. But the best part for me is the oxygen tank. And for all of you, you should be really thinking about that because pure oxygen is just going to boost your immunity. And that's what I'm doing right now. I am taking so many like vitamin D, vitamin C, anything I can to make sure that my immunity is boosted because I'm not afraid of COVID, but I don't want to get it. I'm a smart guy. I had H1N1 in 2009. It was not a pleasant experience that I want to redo again. And so we're going to bring on my friend Matt McCarl. And right behind him, under that duck blanket, is his wife, Cece, in the hyperbaric chamber getting treated right now. And he has to keep her in there. I bet she goes, how long till she's done?
Oh, we just started at 4:00. She'll do at least 2 hours. So.
Hey, Narelle says, I just had my first session today.
Hey, Narelle. Yes, she did.
Narelle, how was it? What did you feel like? I mean, did you feel kind of stoned when you came out? Matt always laughs at me, but I felt so great when I come out of there. And the thing that we're learning though, through a lot of researches with COVID and a lot of things, that oxygen treatment, that immunity, that is a huge thing for immunity. And a lot of people are using this in treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. The main key is we're detoxing you at the cellular level. So then your body's not have to fight all the toxins that it normally would have to fight. So that extra immune system is freed up to fight things like COVID, the cold, the flu, anything else that's going on in your system. So it's a great way to combat what's going on.
And you and your wife both had COVID, and you have one. They're spoiled. They have a tank at home. So you have a tank at home, but that really did help your guys. At both your recovery it wasn't over the top bad.
No, it was a lot faster than what I've heard from a lot of folks who just were super sluggish for weeks afterwards and just couldn't get things moving around. And now we're starting to see folks with what they've called the long hauler syndrome, which is folks that the COVID gets in and really scars up their lungs and starts taking out their alveoli and things like that, leaving scar tissue in there. We have a client that started coming to see us a week and a half ago, who couldn't walk across her living room after she was recovered without getting winded. She can now move out, do things. Prior to coming to see us, she was able to go out, walk in her backyard, do something like that, but she'd be doing housework. She gets so winded that it would cause a panic attack. Sorry, Rick, I have a train too.
Wait, you have a train too? I thought I was the only one who had a train. Matt, you are so freaking. We are the coolest guys on the whole place.
No. That's you.
So Joshua wants to know, how much does it cost for one time?
So your first time session was $45, and then we get you a coupon to get you to get those first 3 sessions within 7 days. Really ramp the oxygen up, get you super detox for $109. Get you those 2 more sessions, and then after that, it's $110 if you buy them one at a time. But most of our folks do a VIP program or do both buys, so they pay between $60 and $80 a session. But right now, we're running a really cool Christmas special that we'll probably talk about a little bit later.
So when somebody goes in, Narelle says she had surgery on her knee. Pain was greatly diminished this afternoon. How did people usually do this on a weekly basis or like a monthly basis or bi-monthly? Is there a norm?
It really depends on the person and what they're dealing with. Like myself, I had plates in my hand. I got plates in my neck from a neck surgery, missing parts of my meniscus and my knees. So I produce inflammation because I got like little arthritis from the bone-on-bone stuff. So as long as I'm in that thing back there at least once a week for 2 hours, I don't have to take any ibuprofen, anything like that. But we do have folks that come in once a month. We have folks that come in every other month. We have folks that come in 2 or 3 times a week. Usually folks come in 2 to 3 times a week when they first get started, depending on what they're treating. Like folks for post-stroke or traumatic brain injuries, they'll come in 3 to 4 times a week for the first 3 to 4 months. And then we'll start backing them off as things are doing really well for them. And then they'll just do, like I'm on a maintenance dose now where I do it once a week. when I first got started, I did 3 times a week for 6 weeks, and the numbness and tingling I had in these 2 fingers from my neck surgery was gone. And that's when I realized, hey, I haven't taken any ibuprofen in a couple days. So I worked myself backwards until I figured out that once a week was where I needed to be to keep the relief and not kill my liver and kidney.
Chris says we're trained twinsies.
I see that.
That sounds kind of creepy, Chris, actually. How about you guys are the coolest guys? I like Stacy's much better.
Yeah.
I think that's better. So Joshua wants to know, what about for arthritis? Yes, I can answer that, but Matt, yeah. I'm an expert at this now.
Perfect. So basically, Joshua, anything that ends with those 2 little letters right there, 3 little letters, itis, means inflammation of. So arthritis is inflammation of joints. And so an hour in that little bad boy right back there is equivalent to taking 40 Motrin, or say 12,000 milligrams of ibuprofen. So it's great for arthritis. I used to be able to tell you when a storm was coming, when the weather was changing, because my right knee that has barely any meniscus in it would tell me, oh, there's a storm coming in the next day or 2. Now, I get to be surprised like everybody else unless I look at the Weather Channel.
Well, and when I broke my wrist back in May, and Matt threw me in there for a month, for a month. I think I went in there 5 or 6 times, and it greatly reduced the pain and just the feeling of like the tightness. You know what I mean? Because
that's the inflammation and the swelling in the joint and all the stuff that goes on. Because when we get injured, our body throws a lot of fluid and all the white blood cells and all that stuff in there to try to combat what's going on, but it creates inflammation in that area, which is good in the beginning, but then it hangs out for a little bit too long and starts causing problems. And if we can get it out of there and let the inflammation or let the body heal, then it's much better.
What about walk-ins, Matt, or do they need an appointment? That's what Heather wants to know.
Right now, an appointment is greatly appreciated. We've been super busy the last couple of weeks, but that doesn't mean that you can't get an appointment same day. We do have 4 of those in our clinic, but they does work better to have an appointment because we run on a 2-hour schedule where we have blocks. Every 2 hours, we start seeing people. So we start one chamber at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it goes 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6. It's appointment times, and then we have 15-minute staggers from that for the other 3 chambers.
So it's best if, Heather, if you can make an appointment and they'll get you in. Jennifer wants to know, she wants to try it. Are there any conditions that shouldn't do this therapy?
The only condition that we absolutely cannot treat is somebody with a non-treated collapsed lung, so like a pneumothorax. Livers we can't treat. There are some certain conditions that we kind of watch for. Somebody that's in late stage COPD, where they're oxygen driven. So folks that are late stage COPD, their body breathes to get oxygen in, versus you and I, Rick, we breathe to blow off CO. So if we over-oxygenate somebody with late stage COPD, their body will actually stop breathing. Their autonomic system will just be like, we don't need to breathe anymore. And we don't want to do that.
But Jennifer, it's also really good. There's some evidence that it's really good for autism, for brain injuries, just like a
Lyme
lot.
disease is a huge one we see folks for.
Hey, Rick, loved the show last night with the doctor. Put Mary and myself at ease, especially Mary works at 11 in VA home and no patients thus far. Yeah, Jim, we're hearing that from a ton of people, that people felt so much better because we've been in such a fear mode. And, you know, part that's created by culture and media. And so anything we can do. Fear is also not a good place to be if you want to be an immune system. That's the craziest thing about our world, is we create things, the very things that put us more at risk of getting the things that we're afraid to get. So instead, we should be taking care of ourselves. What can we learn from COVID? We can learn that we need to be going into places like Matt and keeping our oxygen level, keep our immune systems operating. So when another COVID or something like that comes, our bodies are already used to bugs, germs, but we're also used to being immune to these. So our body can fight. We got a fighter in there. We don't need to shut down gyms and do this kind of stuff. We need to keep those kind of places open so that we can get better. Chris says, I have degenerative disc disease, so that sounds like it would help. Anything larger than a coffin size, I'm extremely claustrophobic.
Yes, Chris, that is actually 7.5 feet long, 33.5 inches across. 2 grown adults can fit in there. LeBron James treats in that same exact size chamber, and he's a very big man. We are working actually on getting a 60-inch chamber that's 8.5 feet long, which we should have in the next 2 to 3 months, hopefully. That'll be in one of our rooms. So actually a nice zero gravity yard recliner will fit in that perfectly. Or a family of 4.
And don't bring your family of 4. Chris, let me tell you, just from a guy, I'm not real great. I'm a little claustrophobic too, but there's, Matt, move your head for a second. There's a window, and that's Cece, his wife, inside there. So there's a little window right there that you can see out the whole time you're in there. And then there's also, he gives you a little buzzer. So there's a little fan in there, so you keep the air moving. And then there's a buzzer. So if you freak out, you can hit the buzzer, and then Matt or his staff will come in and they will get you out within a few minutes. You can get out of there. So it's not the first time you kind of lay there and go, maybe for like 5 minutes, you're kind of thinking, okay, so what do I do? But it's so open in there. You could take a book in there and read. Although I highly recommend you go in there and just die.
Just take the best nap you'll ever get, the healthiest nap you can ever have. And Chris, the other cool thing is oxygen is a nice anti-anxiety med, and we're putting so much into you that most folks that have a little spatial issue, if they can get the pressure and hang out for like 5 minutes, they usually don't care after that. I had a lady that was super claustrophobic, took her 5 tries to get in the gym. Same time, but she crawled in, crawled out, crawled in, crawled out. But she relaxed enough. I was able to do the treatment with her, went to get her out an hour later, and she did not want to get out of the chamber.
Yeah. Well, Narelle says she was in there today and she's claustrophobic and had no issues. Shelly, the things that Shelly couldn't hear, she couldn't hear what it was you can't treat. So it's COPD.
Well, late stage COPD and a pneumothorax or a collapsed lung.
Okay, so that's really basically all.
Yep.
Jim has an 8-inch plate screwed into his wrist and hand that hurts every now and then. I knew Springfield isn't that far. Maybe someday I can come down and try it. Well, he's actually in Eugene, but yeah, we're not far from where you are, Jim. And so Matt, tell them about your special, because I know people on here are talking about maybe I could try this.
Yeah. So for Christmas, we're doing a really cool special. You can get your first 3 sessions with us for only $145, saving you guys a little bit of money off buying them all individually as you come in. And then for returning clients, if you have friends and family that are returning clients and really want to come in, you want to get them a super cool special gift, you can get them 3 sessions for only $199. So it's a really cool thing to get for folks, especially this year. Folks need the gift of health more than any other year that I've seen in a long time. Give folks something they're going to be able to use that boosts their immune system, gets them a little healthier, and helps them combat what's going on out there.
Kathy and I were saying the other night, we were looking at each other and going, with all that we've been through this year with COVID and the broken wrists and all that stuff, we looked at each other and go, how about if we just get the boys each one big present that they get, and then you and I just want to go out when this is all over, and we'll do after Christmas shopping, and we'll find like a recliner or something that we need. I just don't care. So here's a great way you could surprise somebody with a stocking stuffer of 140. You spend $150 and you can get them 3 sessions, and then we're kind of committed to going and making somebody feel better. Except for Chris, I didn't make him feel better. He said that was helpful, except Rick saying to get in it and die. I guess
you meant fall asleep, Chris. You meant fall asleep.
I meant fall asleep. When I fall asleep, Chris, my wife says it's like you're dead. If I die in bed, my wife would probably look over and go to work and still think that I was going to wake up. That's just how she is. Shelly says, thank you for repeating that. Matt Kendall, cash, credit, or do they bill for insurance or HSA?
So that's a great question, Matt. We usually do what refer to as out of pocket, so cash credit. The trick with insurance is there's only 15 major conditions that are covered by insurance, stuff like gas gangrene, the bends, seal poisoning, non-healing diabetic wounds, stuff you're going to be in a hospital for. But we can accept an HSA or an FSA card. We have had no problem running those as well, because it is a medical treatment, and so those medical savings accounts or flex spending accounts, they usually don't blink an eye at it because it is a medical type service. As well as that same special runs for massage as well, Rick.
Oh, okay. So that's now Jennifer's trying to. This is me. This is so. Can two family members get the 3 for 145 if they're both new?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Jennifer, yeah.
So even cooler is if you wanted to get out, say you were going to buy it for your mom and she's never been in before, you get your mom that $145 deal for her first 3, and then you could get her the additional 3 of $199 even and give her a super awesome gift if you wanted to.
So Matt Kendall here was just asking me the other day what I wanted for Christmas because he wanted to spend over like right around $150 on me, which I thought was really nice. And, you know, I never try to put pressure on people to get me a gift. Like I wouldn't go public and say, Matt didn't get me anything. But yeah, so Matt, here would be a great way to you know, help your friend and fill that void, because then you don't have to shop for me anymore, because I know you've been looking really hard. What about taking credit cards?
Yes, absolutely.
I have.
We sell these chambers as well for people who want them in their home, because they are FDA approved devices for home use, and sometimes that's the only way people can get them is by putting them on a credit card.
Yeah, so Matt will sell you one, and he'll help come over with that. He comes over and helps you set that up in your house, because it's not as easy as it looks. Once it's set up, it's just turning on a few buttons and knowing what to zip up and when to zip out. But other than that, he can help you set that up, or you can rent it. So if you're a person going through cancer treatment, through chemo or something like that, you can rent it for a month or 2 while you're going through treatment, and Matt will come over, set it up, and then when you're done, he'll take it down and get it out of there for you. Pulmonary fibrosis, she's on oxygen. Would she benefit? How much does it cost?
Yes, Heidi. Again, the osis, it means inflammation of the fibroids in your lungs. And the hour in there, like I mentioned a little bit ago, was like taking 40 Motrin, 12,000 milligrams of ibuprofen to help reduce that inflammation, ability. Breathe easier. $45 for your first time if you come in and buy one, but we're running that Christmas special. It's $145 for your first 3.
And Matt said problem solved. So I'm going to say, go ahead and just run that credit card. Fortunately, Matt, the other Matt understands that I'm full of crap and there's not going to be any problem. So Matt, your wife, Cece, went through cancer, and that tank has helped her immensely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Before we learned about Hyperbaric and everything, she was stage 4. She had a still has a non-surgical tumor in her brainstem, because it's basically entwined. It's not like this kind of tumor that's like a ball when everything's wrapped around it. It's entwined in her brainstem, so they don't know what's tumor and what's brain. You know, they might, whoops, oh, sorry, you can't breathe now. So they don't do any type of surgical activity, but they would go in and drain it like once a year. So we had done the chemo, we had done all the stuff, and that stuff was, Rick, probably, it was killing her faster than the tumor was. So we were just on, eating right, just doing all the other stuff we could do. And then we learned about hyperbarics, and I had her doing hyperbarics 3 to 4 times a week. We got the chamber in June. They drained it that July, because that was when they would always drain it, would be in July. A year later, they went in to drain it. There was nothing to drain. And wow. They went, well, wait a minute, what's going on? So they started testing her, and she had gone from stage 4 to stage 2. 6 months later, she was stage 1, and then 6 months later, I want to say again, she was full remission.
That is so crazy.
And that's the only thing we changed in what we were doing, was she was just regularly treating her like 3 or 4 times a week.
And then Matt and Cece both got COVID and had different symptoms and everything. And yeah, they were sick, but it wasn't over the top, and they got over it because they're already all that immune stuff. I honestly really hope that's what we learn from this, is that we all need to really kind of be paying attention to what we put in our bodies, because what you put in is what you become, and what we're doing and exercising. You don't have to be over the top, but just be living, kind of a more balanced life, so that we're prepared when something like this comes. And hyperbarics and even massage, to me, is like, it's a health thing. You know what I mean? When I go get a massage, it's like, it's working stuff out, and I'm so much more relaxed, and that's where we need to be as human beings. So how do we sign for the special?
The easiest way, Jennifer, is just to call our office at 541-636-3278.
Do it again.
If you go to
541.
541-636-3278, the easiest way to get the special. The staff and the team in there are ready for folks to call us with that. And then we just launched a new website Thanksgiving, Rick, and I have a chance to tell you about it. It's newleafeugene.com. And that website is specifically for my clinic right here, which is super cool. It's a beautiful website. The lady who did that was super awesome and did very well at it. My wife, she had a migraine for 7 days. That was her COVID experience. It was a really bad migraine for 7 days. I had a super crazy head cold, like back when I was a kid type of head cold. Hot ice pick feeling in my ears, hurt to swallow. And that's really what mine was. Yeah, first I lost my sense of smell and taste because my sinuses and everything was all junked up and I couldn't do anything. As soon as I got Sudafed, it opened myself right back up and I started feeling better. And then that's when I got tested. Yep, we tested positive.
Well, Matt, thank you so much. And thank your wife for being in the background.
I will. Absolutely.
We got Cece in the background. Cece's on my Facebook, and she's like, if anything's going on in the world that I don't know about, she does.
Right?
If I ever get a really good story, 99 times it's probably going to be something that she kind of figured out for me. She's a go-getter. So again, you get $145 for 3 sessions for new clients, but you got to do that before Christmas. And so the phone number's there. newleafeugene.com is on there. Just get a hold of them and get yourself in there. I mean, because God air, it's more than a slogan.
Right.
It really works. God was thinking when he put that big old surface of air around there. Hold on. Did you say there was a Christmas special that was $45 for one treatment? No, the first treatment for anyone is $45, but you can get 3 of them on this Christmas special for $145. I'm short and wide. Heidi, he can fit you in there. Short and wide is just fine. All body types welcome. Singing increased oxygen immensely. I enjoy online karaoke. You can sing in the tank if you want. I mean, you're going to look kind of silly, but you can do it. Because of past work injuries, I'm not able to work. I imagine he doesn't take OHP. Actually,
I would love to take OHP. They just don't want to pay me yet. We're working on all that stuff, Jim. We do, like I said, the first one, if you are on a fixed income, you can pay as you go. It's $45 for your first one. We do work with folks, and we have some programs for folks that are on fixed income. So, yeah, absolutely. Just ask us about that when you come in.
So you guys just ask questions because Matt will work with you on stuff. So you just need to call up. If you're thinking this is something you should do or you want to do, then that you really need to talk to him. And if you're looking at it as a gift, just like, Matt Kendall's doing for me, just go ahead and buy it and leave it under the tree and they'll be really happy. All right, Matt, you go take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Take care. Thanks, Matt. All right, you guys, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull Matt right there. So again, New Leaf, Hyperbaric, and Wellness, and they do massage and they do the hyperbaric treatment. We didn't even talk about they do light therapy, so they put these little things on your head, and Matt, it doesn't work for hair growth. It's supposed to, but I haven't seen a lot of hair growth on Matt. So I'm just going to assume that it doesn't work very well on him. He's in the background doing this. I can see him. But it does a lot of great things. I did that. Matt did that for me too when I was in the tank for my wrist. Then we put the infrared light around my wrist too, the little light pads. You stick them around your wrist while you're laying in there, so you're just sleeping. And that also helps with the healing process. And they can do those all over your body, wherever's aching or that kind of thing. They combine those at the same time if you want to, or you can just do light therapy as well. All kinds of stuff. I think we're all learning that medical stuff is great, but drugs aren't everything. And there's a lot of holistic ways you can do stuff. God put air in the air out there so that we could use it. And Matt's just figured out a way to make it super usable. Well, somebody did, and he's just helping you get to it. He didn't come up with the technology. I mean, he's a smart dude, but he didn't come up with the technology. But isn't that funny how some of the natural things, how we eat, what we eat, the oxygen we breathe, how we treat ourselves, how we relax with the massage. Those are all the things that are kind of part of being a human that we forget about when we get busy. So make an appointment, go in, check him out. Okay, let me tell you what we're doing tomorrow, because we got more shows coming up. So tomorrow, Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning is a new sponsor with us, and their whole motto is Priority One. So what we're going to do, our Priority One tomorrow, is to talk to a young man. In fact, I should talk to Matt about getting this kid in the chamber. His name is Braden Roberts, and his mom is Kayla, and they've been all over Facebook, and I've been getting notices from her. Braden is 10 years old, and he just went in and had 2 brain surgeries. He has a tumor in his head, and he had 2 brain surgeries, and he's fine. The brain tumor was found out to be benign. But I met him years ago, and his mom was making sure that she was telling him when he got out of surgery that Rick Dancer was saying hello and stuff. So we're going to have him on the show and talk to a 10-year-old about brain surgery and what he's thinking. And, I mean, don't we need a little bit of light? And so we're going to get a little light from Braden tomorrow night at 4:30. Again, sponsored by Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning. This is the time of year you really should get your stuff checked now. I'm the one who always waits, and then when it freezes, my heat pump, like everybody else's, dies because I didn't keep track of it. And then I'm the one who's cold and waiting for everybody. And then on Friday, we're also going to be at the car wash tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Coburg Road Car Wash. And there's a group of Jeep people. I don't know what Jeep people are, but I'm assuming they're people that have Jeeps. And they're going around to neighborhoods and having parades, like dozens of them. And because we all need a little light. And so we're going to wash their Jeeps tomorrow. We're going to take their Jeeps through the car wash and talk with them about what it is they're doing and how you can see it and be a part of it. So that's tomorrow at 11. And then at 4:30, I'll be with Braden. And then on Friday at noon, we're going to be talking with a hair salon in town that's reopening. We're pretty excited about it. And that same show, we're going to be out in Bonita live this way at the Emporium. There's artisans came together for the last month. We did a live out there, and they're going to be selling really quality gifts out there. And they're going to kind of give us an update for a last minute push on it. Somebody's asking for the phone number. There is the phone number. My brother works for Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning. All right, Chris. Well, they're our new sponsor. We love our sponsors. We cannot do what we do without our sponsors. So if you like what we do, then please support our sponsors. That's kind of the way it works. I love that. I know, don't you? And Matt Kendall says Jeepers. Those are people who do Jeeps. God, can you tell the guy's a realtor? Always selling something. All right. Again, Matt and Cece, thank you for sponsoring our show tonight. And you guys get in there and got some air, and then get your body rubbed at the same time. You're not going to die in the tank. I promise you. All right. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you later. Talk to you tomorrow.